Welcome to another episode of Issues and Insights. I'm Bryce Shoemate from Magnolia Bank, and you know, this is the time of year where we're either really happy or it makes it rough on some that are missing their loved ones or have trouble dealing with this time of year. And so my guest today is Tom Folsom from the American Legion. Tom, welcome to our show today.
Thank you, Bryce.
Thank you for being with us. And one of the things that you deal with at the American Legion is a program that started, you said, 2 years ago?
Yes, about 2 years ago.
And finally got off the ground now. And so you work with veterans in suicide prevention, correct?
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about your program that you have going.
The program that we have is called Be the One, and it's mainly the main purpose of the program is to help veterans reduce the stigma that they have, or we all have, about talking about our personal issues and personal problems, especially suicide being the number one area that we're focusing in on. That's the American Legion's main concern this year is suicide prevention.
So I know that we've talked for the last several years, and my wife actually has a treatment court here for veterans, but we've talked several years about PTSD and how that seems to add into some of this that you're talking about. Would that be correct?
That is correct. Anything that could cause the veteran to have those type of thoughts where they want to do harm to themselves.
So do you see a particular need in our area, our kind of tri-county area that we serve here?
I do. I don't know that there's any more of a need in this area than other areas. Veterans are committing suicide at about 22 per month, which is extremely high. It's 50% more than civilians or non-veterans are committing suicide. Here in Hardin County, we have a lot of veterans, so
yes,
the need is very, 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 very strong.
What do you attribute your program in looking at this? What do they attribute that it's higher for veterans than civilians?
I couldn't answer that question. I'm not a mental health professional, so I truly don't know why the veterans are higher than the civilians.
Of course, they're seeing in combat.
Oh yeah,
they're
I understand that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, they're seeing so much more than a regular civilian would see. I'm assuming that would key into that somewhat.
It will, yeah, absolutely.
And folks, we want y'all to know while we're talking, neither one of us are physicians, nor we're an expert, but we want to do things to help those folks out there that may be watching right now if you're thinking about this, that this is a program that would help you. So, Tom, tell us a little bit how you go about looking and talking to people that you think may be at risk, is what we used to call it at the police department, kind of at risk with this.
Pretty much the gist of the program, the Be the One program, is we try to recognize veterans that have an issue. Behavior changes. They could generally be a happy-go-lucky person, and now they're not. They're kind of dragging out. They could usually keep their house immaculate or their car immaculate, and now it's not. There's just changes in them. People that your friends and stuff. So you have to ask the veterans questions. We teach to identify the signs, and then we teach you have to ask the veterans the tough questions. You have to be able to ask someone, are you thinking about committing suicide? And that's very hard to do. It sounds easy, but it's not. It's very difficult to do that with someone.
It's because it's very personal.
Absolutely. And then once we've talked to the guy and he says yes, obviously we're going to recommend him to get treatment as quickly as possible there's a national line, 988, Veterans-1 for their help, and civilians just 988, because this program works for civilians as well.
And if people are feeling like they want to commit suicide, or they even have a plan, that's the ones we used to worry about the most. If they had a plan, that they can call this number, and it's
Correct.
A toll-free number for them to get help.
988. That's it. That's their numbers, 988 and then Veterans-1.
And folks, we'll put that down at the bottom of the screen so that you all can see this, because some people may want to think about this as we go along. And Tom, do you get family members sometimes that will call you and say, hey, could you talk to my loved one? I feel like there's some personality changes there.
Well, if someone called me personally, I would talk to them as much as I could and then get them to the 988 number. But the 988 number will also help a caregiver. Like if your husband or wife was thinking about committing suicide, or your child, they will help you as well to help that person.
So this program out of the American Legion, do you, as your members come in and you get to where you're talking to people and so on, do you pick up on some of these personality differences as you talk to some of them, as you get to know folks?
We would, yes. I mean, I believe I will, and I believe most of the folks in the Legion that we've taught this class. Actually, just Tuesday past, we had a big class. We had 80 people from the community come in, and we gave a class on Be the One for suicide prevention. The Veterans Administration sent down a professional, mental health professional from Robley Rex Medical Center.
Right.
He spoke about an hour, and there was questions, and there was people even stood up and said that they had thought about or were thinking about suicide, and they were actually able to talk to that gentleman that night and get some help.
So how often do you all have the classes there in the Legion?
This was our first one, and we're gonna try to do another one on a Zoom platform to get more people that can come out in the winter months. We're going to try to do another one on the Zoom platform in January or February.
How would people go about finding out about this class or joining your Zoom platform? Is there like something, a website or a phone number that they can get in touch with you? Or you said there was another gentleman that was working with you as well
Right.
in this program. How do they get a hold of you to find out information about that?
The other guy that's working with me is Brandon Curry. He's been part of the American Legion and the Sons of the American Legion for many years, and he's way up there in the chain of command for the Legion. To reach us, to go to the American Legion, it's a hardenpost113.com. The information will be out there. But when we have these events, we advertised on TV and radio and newspapers and anything that we can do to get the word out to the community.
Absolutely. So give us that website one more time, because I'm sure there's a link in there for your class. And
Yeah,
how to
it's
sign
all
up.
on the page. There's flyers and everything. It's hardenpost113.com.
Okay. And folks, we'll put that down at the bottom of the screen as well, so that you can go through there and be able to look at that and see if there's a class coming up sometime soon, or a Zoom platform for you to come up on and be able to go through that. I guess one of the hard things that you have to go through, Tom, is how do you recognize that veterans are in need of help, or even how do you recognize that they may even need to come to your class?
Well, I don't like to read things, but this particular piece we got from the VA, it offers some of the signs that folks might have, and such as appearing sad and depressed, they feel hopeless. A generally normal person is kind of has anxiety going on, sleeps too much or too little, feeling there is no reason to live, just kind of things like that, losing interest in hobbies. And you would recognize those things with your friends or people that you know. You would recognize those. And that's an indicator, according to the VA, where we need to start asking questions. When
Right.
I start indicating those, there's quite a few more of them, bad behaviors and things, but that's kind of where we need to start getting involved.
And I guess because people that come to the Legion, it's a brotherhood and sisterhood of veterans that are part of the Legion, and so a lot of times you all get very close to one another.
Absolutely.
And it would be easy to start picking up some of the traits that you're talking about there.
Absolutely, and I think the importance of this program too, and I don't want to miss that out, is that us letting the other veterans within the Legion know, and the civilians know, and anybody know that these are signs of suicide. They can be used out of the Legion. They could be used in the civilian community. They could be used any place to kind of identify these things and stop suicide, because there is a lot of civilian suicides as well.
So do you get active personnel that, could even come to active duty personnel from Fort Knox area could even come to this class as well, I guess?
Absolutely,
correct?
and it's open to anybody. Any of these classes that we have are open to anybody.
Even civilians?
Anybody, yes, absolutely. Yeah, we had, like I said, about 80 people over there last Tuesday, and probably 40 of them were folks I didn't know from the Legion. So 40, maybe even a little bit more, just people that came in.
So, Tom, let me ask you this. If you start to, through your questions, when you start to talk to somebody and you recognize that there's signs there, Do you all have avenues or people that you can refer this person to, or places that you all refer, I guess the VA hospital, or if they're a veteran? Do you all have places to refer these people when you start recognizing some of the signs?
The only thing we would do, Bryce, is send them, give them the phone number for 988, even help them call 988 and talk to them, because that's where the professional help begins. Our piece is really just kind of identifying the situation and possibly understanding that this veteran does have a problem, and get them to talk. Now, if it's serious, if somebody's on the phone with us, that called me up, hey, Tom, I'm having issues, whatever.
Right.
I would tell them call 988, but if they were to say, like, hey, I got a gun to my head now, I'm going to do this, I would call 911 and have the police come over and visit with them right away, because I'd rather have that guy mad at me for calling the cops than take his own life.
So let me ask you this, Tom. Have you had instances where you felt like this person was starting to think about suicide, but they weren't willing to admit it yet? Have you had those instances where it's been rough for them to admit that they needed help?
Yes, that's the main problem with the veterans. We've had a couple of folks I have that I know personally that have shown some of the signs but didn't say they were going to do anything, and we still offer them to come to contact the 988 phone number and seek professional help, because we can't do that. That's not our role, as you mentioned earlier.
And in the past, and I've known this through law enforcement and through my wife's Veterans Court, a lot of folks that start feeling depressed will try to self-medicate too.
Check. I'm sure that's right.
And of course, the problem is when they start using alcohol. Alcohol's a depressant, and it starts making them feel worse than better.
And that's the stuff the VA helps them to get out of. And even, again, I keep saying VA, but even if they call the 988, the 988 is for anybody. 988 press 1 is for veterans. So there's help there for anybody, and those professionals would tell them, help them stop the abuse. So
as we're filming this video right now, for it to be shown, if there's veterans out there, and they tell me, I see veterans in our community all day say, hey, I saw your show. So I know there's veterans out there watching our show right now. Mm-hmm. What would you say to them right now if they are suffering, they're depressed, they're not truly thinking about depression or suicide yet, but I mean, a lot of times they're depressed before they ever start getting those mm-hmm. thoughts in their head.
Absolutely.
What would you say to them right now?
I would ask them to please pick up the phone and dial 988, press 1, and talk to some professionals. Do that. Ask them maybe to come to the American Legion, talk to some veterans, go to the VFW, talk to some veterans, the DAV. There's a lot of veterans organizations around. And, of course, I favor the American Legion, but the others are just as good.
Because they may feel more comfortable talking to a brother. Correct. Rather than talking to somebody on the phone that they absolutely don't know.
Right, but the folks on the phone are very well trained, and the guy that came and spoke with us, he's a veteran as well. I don't know how many of them are actually veterans up there, Bryce, to be honest, but those people are professionals and will take care of the issues. Okay. But to your point, yes, after you've talked to them, please come hang out and talk with us, and heck, you never know.
But I mean, it may start out where they come and talk to you first.
Right.
Yep. And that's where you start to recognize that. Yes, absolutely. Yep. And are you usually at the American Legion when activities are happening where you see a crowd of veterans that are there? Are you available so that you can kind of talk and mingle with the folks there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. According to my wife, I'm at the American Legion way too much. But there's a lot of great things going on over there. A lot of great events, especially this time of the year.
Which is a great segue into the other part we wanted to talk about. We want to talk about the Legion and what's going on this time of year. So.
Absolutely. We have just about every day between now and the end of the year, there's some type of Christmas party going on for the communities and the posts. We have Christmas parties. We have a Grinch movie coming up. I don't remember the date. I wasn't prepared for that, but they got a Grinch movie coming up. Anybody can come into these things. It's not. The only thing that's private about the American Legion is the lounge side, and we have to be a member. Anything that happens on the hall side is open basically to the public, our bingos and things.
Well, and I know you all actually rent out the hall to groups. When you start
Yes.
talking about the Christmas parties, you all actually have the availability to rent out the hall
Yeah, absolutely do.
for folks to come in and use.
We do, and it seats like 350 people in there, I believe. That up to 350 people they can, and we got some smaller rooms that go for rent. But so yeah, people are welcome. Like I say, the one side is private, the other side is open to the public. So if there's an event, bingos, or like the movies and things like that they're doing, anybody can come into those.
You know, I got to MC a event that you all had. I believe it's not last winter, but the winter before. It was the winter before, where you all put on a beauty contest, and we had several men that dressed up in some interesting costumes.
Those guys were funny.
Yeah, it was very funny, and the public was welcome to that, and it was a lot of fun.
Yep, a lot of fun goes on.
And you all have several dances that go on too.
Just about once a month now, we have a live band in the hall, and they have a light food, not big meals, but we have a live band in the hall.
And again, to get information on what's going on at the American Legion, that
Hardin Post,
website.
yep, the HardinPost113.com.
And you all usually have a New Year's Eve
Correct.
celebration.
It's coming up.
Yes. And the tickets, from what I understand, sell out quickly,
Right,
correct?
they're $45 this year, and they're probably three-quarters gone right now. Band, food, the whole, just like a normal New Year's Eve party.
And so everything's provided.
Everything, yep, everything's there.
Well, that's cool. And folks, if you all want to get in there, because I know I've driven by there many years, and that parking lot is packed.
Absolutely. If we can, we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's great entertainment here at home. And a lot of people are like, where can I go to get great entertainment? Do I have to drive to Louisville? And no, you don't have to drive to Louisville, because y'all are having it right there.
Absolutely.
You all also sponsor a lot of projects out in our community, and sponsor groups in our community. The philanthropy that you all have at the American Legion, you all try to take care of a whole community.
They do. There's several different parts of the American Legion, families in the American Legion. Like right now, our American Legion Auxiliary is taking care of a food drive for the children when they're during school break. I guess the food banks need additional food, so the American Legion Auxiliary is raising money for that. Not money, raising food for that to donate, and they're just always doing something.
So if somebody is watching right now and said, hey, I didn't know the American Legion was doing a food drive, where could they drop off food stuff at?
They could bring it right to our American Legion post, and just when they come in, just ring the bell, and they'll let them in, and they'll take care of it for them.
Awesome. So usually, what time is somebody usually at the Legion, until when usually?
Don't quote me. There's somebody there basically from 7 o'clock in the morning till probably 10 o'clock at night, but our hours, I believe they open at 4 o'clock till 11, and don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. But if they come around the back of the building, there's a couple doors back there, and just knock on that door, and somebody would, if they had donations, somebody let them in.
Okay, so folks, you all heard that. There's lots of folks that don't need a handout, but they need a hand up. And so please consider taking some of your extra foodstuffs, canned products, anything that's non-perishable, and bring it to the Legion, because they try to help so many families in our community. And what a great way, because we look at this as a season of giving, and
Absolutely.
what a better way to give. So tell us anything else that's going on at the Legion right now that we need to know.
Well, there's one thing I would like to mention, and I don't know if it's the proper time, but we'll throw it out there. A lot of folks don't know about the memberships within the American Legion. Now, to join the American Legion, you have to be a veteran.
Okay.
That's pretty makes common sense. But to join the other families in the American Legion, like the American Legion Auxiliary, you do not have to be a veteran. Your grandparents could be a veteran, your mother or your mother could be a veteran. To join the Sons of the American Legion, if your father or grandfather are veterans, you can join. And a lot of people don't know that. They think that you have to be a veteran to be in there, and you don't. You just have to have some veteran lineage in your family, and you can be part of the post.
So if you're one of the support members, either the Auxiliary or Sons of the American Legion, Do you have the same privileges at the American Legion that you as a Legion member did?
Absolutely, absolutely. Everybody works together to do everything. Like when we have the swope party coming up here in December 16th, I think, all the families will work together to put that event on because that's a huge event. You know, you got to cook, you got to clean, you got to put up the tables, you got to take down the tables, you got to make sure everybody has everything they need throughout the night. So it's a big event, and all the families always work together.
Awesome. So let me ask you this: if somebody wanted information, can they? I know that we put the website up several times.
Mm-hmm.
Can they stop in and talk to somebody if they're not sure, you know, about?
Absolutely. Even though we have a membership side, you can still come in the membership side. You ring the buzzer, they'll let you in. You can talk to us, visit with us, and then see, you know, if you're interested in joining, we can help you do that.
I know I've been in there several times where I've gotten to go back into the lounge area. Even though I'm not a member, I've been a guest of a couple people where they come back and say, Bryce, come on back and talk to us. And several of them were folks that had worked with my dad at Fort Knox and different things and talk about old times. It's neat to be able to go in and listen to some of those guys and ladies talk about stories where they feel comfortable talking.
That's the truth. That's a very nice place, very nice people. Then they do the right things for the right reasons, and that's why I'm still there. That's why I am there.
Absolutely. So, Tom, since we're kind of winding our time down here, I want to touch base back with your program, Be the One. I know it started 2 years ago, but it's taken a year for you to get off the ground and so on, and want to make sure that people understand that you're available to talk to folks. People at 988 are
Absolutely.
Professionals.
That's the one.
And they're able to not only get them help, but refer them to places and even get them to professional help.
Correct.
You may have a number that folks could call at the Legion. I know we've got the website listed below, but give us that number that at the Legion that they can call, and may be about veterans wanting help, but it may be wanting to call just to get information about the American Legion. That's what we talked about with membership.
That's absolutely what we're hoping. We're hoping for both. And our Legion number is 270-737-9949.
And folks, we'll put that down at the bottom of the screen, 270-737-9949. They can give you information about what's going on at the Legion. They can give you information about how you can join and who you can talk to. And then veterans, if you all are in need, if you need somebody to talk to, call that number. Tom and his folks there at the American Legion here in Elizabethtown will be so glad to reach out and talk to you and get you in line with 988. But sometimes you just need somebody to talk to.
Correct. And not to interrupt with that, but if you have issues, dial 988 first.
Yes, okay.
Please dial 988 first, because it could take minutes or hours to get a hold of me or someone else. So if you do, just dial 988 first. And if you just want to talk to somebody, please call us at that phone number.
Absolutely. Tom, thank you for your service at the American Legion, and thank you for the service that you have given to the United States and the military. We appreciate that.
And thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining us here on Hardin County and Education Community TV. We want to thank the American Legion because the American Legion, y'all may not know, is an annual sponsor of Hardin County Education and Community TV that helps us do what we do in this county, and that's keep you informed on what's going on all throughout our county. Everything from services like at the American Legion, the Be the One, to what's going on throughout our community and local governments, but more importantly, what's going on in your students' life in the Hardin County school system. Thank you for joining us, and hey, be careful out there. As we hustle and bustle about through this holiday season, make sure you're doing so safely and pay attention to the other guys out there. We're more of a giving time of the year. There's several agencies, including the American Legion, that are doing food drives and toy drives. Open up your heart and give, as this is a giving season. Merry Christmas, everybody. I'm Bryce Shoemate from Magnolia Bank. Thanks for joining us, and stay safe out there.